Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us on this regular media briefing. We haven't been able to do it the last couple of weeks for visits and other reasons, but nice to see a large turnout today. We don't have any major announcement as such, so I would open the floor with questions and comments, etc. that you have. Okay, questions. Siddhant, before the bell rings, huh? Okay, we'll start with this. Siddhant. Microphones here.
So Siddhant from Vion. My question is, there are reports of India hosting G20 meetings in the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, reports of doing the same in Ladakh as well. China has said that it's going to oppose or at least expresses displeasure. Your reaction to what China has been saying?
Okay. Who else? No, I saw yours. I want to say one by one. Anything? Look, maybe if there anything else on this topic. Okay, this topic, then I'll hold on. Yeah, why don't we start with Vineet? Yeah.
Vineet from Newsgate.
Yeah.
Did this issue came up earlier today between the meeting between Dr. Jaishankar and his counterpart in Bali?
This issue of G20?
Of China opposing specifically areas in Ladakh to be included in the G20 next year.
Okay. Anybody else on this topic? Okay. Yes, we'll start here.
Yeshi Seri from the New Indian Express. I'd like to know whether officially we've stated that we'll host the G20 in J&K, or is this just conjecture?
Same question, right? Anyway. What is conjecture part? I didn't understand.
Has India said that they'll host? Because there is this team which has been deputed by the J&K government to find out where it can be hosted. So more details on that.
Okay.
सर मैं कविता हूँ हरिभूमि से सर मेरा सवाल ये है कि जैसे चाइना ने भी अपोज किया है G20 J&K में ऑर्गेनाइज करने को लेकर के जो बात हो रही है पाकिस्तान ने भी किया है तो पाकिस्तान का भी अगर आप बता
Nothing related to this? No, specifically G20. China is a much larger topic. Later on maybe, just let me take this one. Look, on this issue, we've also seen some media reports on this. As you all know, India will assume the presidency of the G20 from December this year, December 2022. Apart from the summit, which we will host next year, whose dates are not yet finalized, a large number of G20 events at different levels will be organized across the country during our presidency. So I would say there is no need to speculate at this stage on these things. So I'll leave it at that. Okay, I think that would address all of your queries, I think. हिंदी में जैसा मैंने कहा, भारत आप लोग जानते ही हैं, भारत इस साल के दिसंबर से G20 की अध्यक्षता ग्रहण करेगा. अगले साल शिखर सम्मेलन के अलावा हमारी अध्यक्षता के दौरान देश भर में विभिन्न स्तरों पर बड़ी संख्या में G20 कार्यक्रम आयोजित किए जाएंगे. तो इसीलिए इस विषय पर स्पेकुलेट करना कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है. Events.
No, what events?
Look, G20, I don't know how much you follow, and we will, I assure you, give you more details as we go closer to December. The G20 summit is preceded by a large number of meetings, usually meetings like ministerial meetings, working group meetings, engagement group, contact meetings, and perhaps even special initiatives that each country might do at various levels. So those are what I meant as events and meetings. It could be various types, and some are governmental completely, some are involved non-governmental. If you look at the previous years, there is a format, and each country also innovates and puts its own ideas and initiatives on that. So all these will be made public and shared with you as we get closer to the presidency. Sorry, I can't hear you. Microphone, please. If it's on G20, I'll take it right now.
So,
introduce yourself for the record.
I'm Mukesh Kaushik from the Ambassador. So, do you intend to say that no event is planned in Jammu and Kashmir related to G20?
I'm happy to read the sentence again if you like.
No, I'm just asking another
I'm saying India will assume presidency. We will do a large number of events at different levels across the country.
Sir.
Oh, I thought you didn't. Sorry, apologies. I will, as I said. Yeah, on G20, anything, anybody else? Oh, sorry, I missed that. Apologies. No, I'm not aware that this issue was taken over, but I must also confess that Minister is abroad and I haven't had a chance to get a full debrief on the conversation. But as it stands, I'm not aware that this was taken up at all. Yeah, okay. Next round of questions. Okay, please start off.
Raza from Hindustan Times. I just wanted to know, China has just said that the Prime Minister's greetings to the Dalai Lama on his birthday yesterday was an attempt to use Tibet issues to interfere in China's internal affairs. I was wondering if you'd like to comment on that.
Okay. Somebody else said something related to China, or was it same question? Okay. Same thing, similar? No, related. Just I'll come back to that. Any other questions? Other topics? Oh, on China. One second. Sorry.
Chinese embassy had.
Will you introduce yourself for the record?
Preeti from these days. Chinese embassy had just issued a statement on the Vivo raids that were conducted, which said we hope Indian side will abide by laws as they carry out investigation and enforcement and do truly fair, just and non-discriminatory business environment for Chinese companies. You have to say.
Okay. You had the same question, Mukesh? Please. Microphone. Microphone. Nobody else will remember to hear you.
After ED's raid were conducted, 2 of the directors of this company have fled the country. Would India demand China that they should come back to India and join the probe?
Nothing on this. Other questions? Oh, sorry, I see a hand right at the back. Microphone, please.
So I'm Shailesh from National Defense. In case if you can update us about military level talks on LAC, sir. Any progress?
Yeah, go ahead, because I'll take the questions as they come. Yeah, microphone's right there.
मधुरेंद्र मैं न्यूज़ नेशन से सर ये देखा जा रहा है कि कई प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं और ख़ासतौर पे कई देश हैं मैं उल्लेख करना चाहूँगा यूके का और ख़ासतौर पे ऑस्ट्रेलिया का जिसकी ज़मीन से खालिस्तान मूवमेंट चलाया जा रहा है और ये देखा गया है कि यूके आर्मी पर्सनल्स जो कि सिख समुदाय से बिलोंग करते हैं और इवन ऑस्ट्रेलियन आर्मी में भी सिख समुदाय से बिलोंग करने वाले कई ऑफिसर्स जो हैं वो इस तरह के इवेंट्स में शामिल हुए हैं। हाल ही में यूके से एक सिख डेलीगेशन का दौरा पाकिस्तान में भी देखा गया जो कि यूके आर्मी से संबंध रखता है और उनके हैंडल्स पर काफ़ी कुछ ऐसा स्टॉप भी दिखाई देता है जो कि खालिस्तान को सीधे सीधे समर्थन करता है। क्या इसको संज्ञान में भारत सरकार ने लिया है और इस बारे में क्या कोई बातचीत यूके से या ऑस्ट्रेलिया से हुई है?
Okay, one by one. इससे related है? Okay, one second. I saw your hand first. One second. Yeah, go ahead.
So it's related to Britain, since the previous question was also on Britain in some senses. Mr. Boris Johnson has just resigned. And we know that both sides have spoken about the growing relationship. And one of the bases of that was the close friendship between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Now that there is no Boris Johnson, how do you see the relationship growing, particularly because just a few days ago, Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister, cancelled his visit to London?
Okay, I saw a couple of more hands. You said yeah, please.
सर मैं मनीषू जी न्यूज़ चैनल से अभी हमने कुछ दिनों पहले देखा कि काली पोस्टर को लेकर के काफ़ी विवाद था। बाकायदा कनाडा में हमारी जो कंसुलेट्स है उन्होंने अर्ज भी किया था कि इस तरीके के इवेंट ना होने दिए जाएं, लेकिन देखा जा रहा है कि दोबारा इस तरीके के जो इंसल्टिंग ट्वीट्स हैं गॉडेस के बारे में वो किए गए। एक पर्टिकुलर मैं नाम नहीं लेना चाहता। दूसरी बात है कि भारत के कई शहरों में FIR भी रजिस्टर की गई है। क्या चूँकि मामला लीगल बन चुका है, क्या भारत सरकार कनाडा सरकार से अथॉरिटी से इस मैटर को परसू कर रही है?
Okay, let me take this round of questions. I'll come back to some more. Let me take them in the order. I think Dalai Lama, Razal, you raised the issue of, I think, the greetings that Prime Minister had extended to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Let me give you some background to it. I think Prime Minister did speak to His Holiness last year also. It has been the consistent policy of the government to treat His Holiness the Dalai Lama as an honoured guest in India, a respected religious leader who enjoys a large following in India. And His Holiness is accorded due courtesies and freedom to conduct his religious and spiritual activities. His Holiness's birthday is celebrated by many of his followers in India and abroad. The birthday greetings by Honourable Prime Minister to His Holiness on his 87th birthday yesterday should be seen in this overall context. Moving on to the question, I think was Preeti, you asked on Vivo. Look, this is, to be honest, a very judicial or a matter that does not really pertain to the foreign policy dimension. So I would refer you to the authorities, investigative authorities, on any further details on that. I don't really have a comment on that part of it, because this is something that they have been doing. My comment, I think you mentioned in the context of, I don't know, somebody mentioned the context of a Chinese statement by the spokesperson, their spokesperson. You mentioned it? Okay. All I would say, look, Indian companies who operate here otherwise need to follow the law of the land, and I think our legal authorities are taking step as per the law of the land. I don't see the need to make such comments, but again, on the case itself, I wouldn't like to get into it. मुकेश जी, आपने कुछ इसके साथ सवाल पूछा था कि 2 डायरेक्टर्स का, आपने क्या कहा था कि 2 डायरेक्टर्स नहीं हैं, चले गए, कुछ लोगों ने भाग गए, ऐसी उसमें मैं नहीं जाना चाहता हूँ. देखिए, ऐसा कोई हमारे पास इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं आया है अथॉरिटीज से कि हम अभी उसको चाइना से बातचीत इस मुद्दे पे बातचीत करें, पर ये लीगल इशू है. अगर वो कुछ पूछे तो फिर हमारा वो सिस्टम होता ही है म्यूचुअल लीगल असिस्टेंस का, पर अभी मेरे पास ऐसा कोई खबर नहीं है. Salesh, sorry, where were you? Yes, there, right you are. On the issue of on the LSC or the talks, on the military talks, you would have seen our press release today. I'll just read out some of the key elements of that. EM did talk of an early resolution of all outstanding issues along the LSC in eastern Ladakh, and he talked about the disengagement achieved in some friction areas, but he reiterated the need to sustain the momentum to complete disengagement from all remaining areas to restore peace and tranquility in the border areas. They also talked about, he reaffirmed the importance of abiding by the understandings and the protocols, the bilateral protocols that have been reached, and their own understandings between the 2 ministers in their previous conversations. And hence, they reiterated, and I've been saying that in previous presses that we have been doing, that they look forward to the next round of the senior commanders meeting at an early date. I don't have a date for that. That hasn't taken place yet. When we have something, we will certainly share that with you. And he, of course, talked about the need for the 3 mutuals: mutual respect, mutual sensitivity, and mutual interest. So I think that's what I would have to say on that issue for the moment. मधुरेंद्र जी, आपने खालिस्तान मुद्दे को लेकर काफ़ी तरह के क्वेश्चन पूछे, मुद्दे उतना डिटेल में मैं उत्तर नहीं देना चाहूँगा. ऑस्ट्रेलिया में स्पेसिफिकली एक हमारे पास ज्ञात हुआ था कि ऐसा हुआ है. हमने ऑस्ट्रेलिया की सरकार से ये मामला रेज़ किया है, और मुझे और डिटेल्स मेरे पास है नहीं शेयर करने के लिए, पर हमने ये ऑस्ट्रेलियन गवर्नमेंट से ये टेकअप कर रखा है. ये हमने कुछ और रिपोर्ट भी देखे थे यूके के बारे में, तो यूके में नहीं था, वो और कहीं था, पर ये ऑस्ट्रेलिया में कुछ उनके सोल्जर्स का था. हम उसमें बातचीत चल रही है. Shinjoy, on the issue, you raised the issue of Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Yes, as we walked in, that's a real live question. I think as walked in, he was delivering his resignation speech. I don't really know what is the exact timeline of how long is he here, departure, etc. from that post. But look, these are internal developments. We, of course, as keep a close watch on such things. But these are internal developments. And on the larger issue that you raised about, of course, Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Prime Minister Modi had enjoyed a very close friendship, and that you mentioned, you referred to. But on the larger issue, I think, look, as UK as an important strategic partner with whom we have a multifaceted partnership and relationship, I think it is important that this will continue. We hope it's based on links at various levels between our 2 peoples, as well as on various other verticals that we discuss as part of our strategic partnership. So we look forward to continuing with that. But I think on the issue of the leadership or change, I obviously would not like to comment. Z News से आपने पूछा था ये जो महाकाली को लेके जो कंट्रोवर्सी, देखिए उसमें हमारे वहाँ पे दूतावास ने, हाई कमीशन ने एक्चुअली ओटावा में कुछ स्टेटमेंट दिया था. उसके अलावा अभी मेरे पास कोई इमीडिएट स्टेटमेंट नहीं है. हमने देखा था कि ऑर्गेनाइजर्स वहाँ पे जो हैं, 2 ऑर्गेनाइजर्स, दोनों ने स्टेटमेंट जारी की थी एक्सप्रेसिंग रिग्रेट. उसके अलावा अभी मेरे पास और कोई एग्जैक्ट डिटेल्स नहीं है. FIRs की बात वो डोमेस्टिक है, उसमें फॉरेन पॉलिसी कोई का मुद्दा इमीडिएट नहीं है, तो मैं उसमें नहीं कमेंट करना चाहूँगा. पर कनाडा के संदर्भ में उन्होंने ये जो हमने ये इशू कैनेडियन अथॉरिटीज़ से भी हमने कहा था कि इसमें आप ऐसे प्रोवोकेटिव मटेरियल को कुछ एक्शन लें. और दोनों ऑर्गेनाइजर्स ने भी इवेंट ऑर्गेनाइजर्स ने भी अपॉलॉजी जारी की है और वहाँ पे आई थिंक वो हटा भी दिया गया है और वो स्क्रीन नहीं हो रहा है. तो फॉरेन पॉलिसी MEA की तरफ से हमारा स्टेटमेंट और हमारा पोजीशन और जो एक्शन हमने लिया है काफ़ी क्लियर है. ओके, इफ आई कुड टेक अनदर राउंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. One second. First questions first, please. Nanima, go ahead, and then I'll come to you.
Nanima from the print. I know what you said about the UK PM issue, but I mean, both sides had set Diwali as the deadline to complete the FTA. You think now that's going to be impacted because that's something that was decided in the summit and that's been asserted by External Affairs Minister also?
This is for the trade deal, right? Okay. Yeah, please, microphone there.
Rishikesh from Sputnik News. Sir, there are reports claiming that India has demanded payment in advance from Sri Lanka to supply fuel. So can you provide some more details on this?
I saw a hand here. You know, somebody behind. Okay, fair enough. Can I see the hand there first?
Hi, this is Devi Rupa from The Wire. I had a question basically about the negotiations for the International Convention on Countering Cybercrime. So the ad hoc committee had held its second negotiating session in Vienna last month and concluded it in June. I believe senior ME officials led the Indian delegation, and the India's written submission on the proposals on criminalization had directly lifted the language of Section 66A of the Information Technology Act. So I basically my question is basically how did MEA propose the exact language of an act that was struck down by the Supreme Court as India's suggestion for an international convention?
Fair enough. Which is the other hand? In 1 second. Please.
This is Shahid Abbas from Informist Media. Sir, a fortnight back, the Foreign Ministry has taken up the issue of Indian students' visa applications, which is slow progress of Indian students' visa application across many embassies and high commissions, including Canada, Australia, UK, and so on. Has there been any update?
And somebody else had a hand up somewhere? Huh? This side? No, can I come back to your second question later? Yeah, please.
मेरा सवाल थोड़ा पीछे जाता है. चोगम मीटिंग के दौरान वहाँ पे मल्टीनेशनल
आपने इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं किया, रिकॉर्ड में नहीं आएगा नाम.
उमाशंकर सिंह NDTV इंडिया.
थैंक यू.
चोगम मीटिंग के दौरान हमारे विदेश मंत्री किगाली में थे और वहाँ पे पाकिस्तान की उप विदेश मंत्री भी थी. जाहिर सी बात है कि कोई औपचारिक मुलाकात तो नहीं हुआ, नहीं तो आपकी तरफ से रीड आउट आता. क्या कोई अनौपचारिक मुलाकात, कोई प्लेजेंट्री एक्सचेंज या दुआ सलाम ये भी नहीं हुआ या ऐसा कुछ हुआ?
ओके. चोगम में. ओके. And I'll take one more before I take this round. 1 second. Sorry, you had raised your hand. Yeah, tell me.
सर, न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया से नीरज हूँ. चाबहार पोर्ट को लेकर लगातार बातचीत चल रही है भारत और ईरान के बीच में प्रोग्रेस को लेकर. क्या यूक्रेन संकट के बाद ज़्यादा फोकस है भारत का कि जो रूस के साथ है, जो अपॉर्चुनिटी क्रिएट हुए वेस्टर्न जो कंपनियां हैं वहाँ से हटने से, तो उस तरफ भी भारत देख रहा है चाबहार पोर्ट के जरिए?
Okay, let me take this round. I don't know how many questions are. Okay, Nanima, on the trade deal with the UK, look, obviously we attach importance to this discussions that are going on, negotiations that are going on with the UK on the trade deal. There is some degree of optimism that it could be done soon. You've seen recent comments by CIM on this. It's a commerce-led process, so I won't go into details of that. But yes, it would be nice if we could do that. Whether it will impact, change the Prime Minister or the leadership in the UK, whether it will impact, that would be in speculation zone, and I would let that be. But as I said, we hope that we can carry forward the good momentum that is underway in the talks.
Sorry, just to clarify, so you were sticking with the Diwali deadline?
I didn't set it. It's a commerce-led process. As I said, somebody had expressed optimism that could be a target date. There is no deadline. but it's important that if we can get a trade deal done, that would be useful. Rishikesh, you had asked about payment. Look, I think the issue is being looked at from a different perspective. So let me just take you back a little bit on where we have been. We have responded with urgency to the government of Sri Lanka's request for assistance for overcoming hardships. Since the beginning of this year, we have, I think, provided assistance or delivered material about $3.5 billion. This has been including through currency swap, deferment of repayment of Sri Lanka's liability under the ACU mechanism, etc. You know many of these things. I will not repeat too much. But look, mainly financing of fuel, food, medicines, fertilizers, other essential commodities have gone from India. Now, as part of this, the line of credit for fuel, I think, has been fully utilized. Some of it has got utilized in the last tranche of material that has gone. The other credit facility of $1 billion for other elements is still there. So I'm not particularly sure what it means. I think there is some private commercial transactions that are happening. That is, the Sri Lankan government is purchasing directly in some cases. That's not under the credit line. So maybe that is what you are referring to. The line of credit that is for the fuel, obviously there is no question of asking for upfront payment. But if it is other kind of a direct payment, direct purchase or procurement, then I think they will need to pay for it. So that would be directly with the supplier. So you will need to check with that. We would, of course, be guided by our friendly relations and our historical ties with Sri Lanka, and we remain committed to stand with the people of Sri Lanka and work in their best interests, and their requirements of the people of Sri Lanka as occupy is a priority for us, and we have been, that part of our neighborhood first policy. We will continue with this approach. We have also, on a larger issue, looked at how we can enhance the economic linkages between our two countries, be it through infrastructure, connectivity, renewable energy, etc. So I think that would be a larger sense of where we stand in terms of assistance, as well as what we have been doing to help the Sri Lankan people. Moving on to the issue of, I think it was Devirupa, you asked about the 66A you mentioned, right? Look, to be honest, this is a bit of a technical issue. So I think you were talking about this UN ad hoc committee meeting, right? That's what you said. So let me, for those who are not following it as closely, India has been actively participating in this UN ad hoc committee to what is called elaborate a comprehensive international convention on countering the use of information and communications technologies for criminal purposes. This ad hoc committee was established by the UN General Assembly via its resolution 74/247. Now, as part of this process, an initial Indian submission was made in May 2022, May this year. As I said, this is a technical matter. There are interministerial inputs that come in. ME, of course, has been taking the lead, and ME officers are there. But your question is very specific, so I'll have to check with the relevant line ministries, particularly METI, on the exact article that you mentioned, which is a replica of Article 66A. So that let me do some internal thing, and we will come back to you. Mr. Abbas, I think you talked about students' visas, right? Look, we are cognizant in some cases, particularly this year, that our students are facing difficulty in getting visas on time, and there is a little lack of clarity of how long it's taking. There is lack of predictability. People are, getting very worried. They've received a lot of panic-stricken calls saying we've been applying. So that's how we reached out to our partners and said, look, this is an important issue on which, brought their attention to this, and we received positive responses. But whether there has been an improvement, I think, to be honest, only the students can tell us. We haven't seen that many complaints literally in the recent past, so maybe it's improved, but I wouldn't like to make a comment one way or the other. Maybe there are cases where are stuck. We will continue to pursue this. This is an important issue for us. But I think our partners are also now quite cognizant of the difficulties the students face and how they can, pursue this education abroad, which is actually beneficial, to them also, to those countries, and of course for the benefit of our students. उमा शंकर जी, आपने ऐसा एक सवाल पूछा जिसका मैं औपचारिक वालों में मैं कह सकता हूँ, अनौपचारिक चीज़ों पे मैं क्या बताऊँ आपको. मुझे ऐसा कोई ज्ञात नहीं है कि हुआ था, कोई फ़ोटो तो नहीं आई या फिर किसी ने कहा नहीं, मैं था नहीं वहाँ, तो मैं उस पर ही छोड़ दूँगा. नीरज, आपका सवाल था चाबहार पे. देखिए, चाबहार हमारे लिए काफ़ी महत्व रखता है, ये हम काफ़ी दिनों से इसमें कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि इसमें बेटर कनेक्टिविटी आ जाए अफ़गानिस्तान रूट या सेंट्रल एशिया जाने के लिए। इसका यूक्रेन के साथ लिंक करना आपने किया, मैं नहीं कर रहा हूँ। आई थिंक चाबहार पे हमने काफ़ी प्लान्स बना रखे हैं, कुछ क्रेन्स भी गई हैं, कुछ वहाँ से इनिशियल मूवमेंट भी हुई है गुड्स के, तो हम इस पे चाहेंगे कि ये कंटिन्यू करें। पोस्ट यूक्रेन के साथ इसका मुझे तो कोई डायरेक्ट ताल्लुकात नहीं दिख रहा है। अच्छा, एक और विषय, आई थिंक आई मेंशन्ड इन, यू आस्क्ड अबाउट वीवो, राइट? Did I mention by any chance Indian companies? I meant Chinese companies, obviously. Vivo here, of course, they're Indian subsidiaries. So let me clarify that for record. I meant Chinese companies that work. All companies that work here need to follow our laws, and of course, so just a clarification on that. Okay, last round of questions. I think we are getting a bit late. Anybody else left? No, you can't have a second one. For people who haven't had a second one first. You had a question right beginning. You didn't? Okay, then apologies. Please, first.
My name is Takashi Ishara from the Japanese newspaper Asahi Shimbun. I'd like to ask about the G20 foreign ministries meetings. Maybe, I'm sure you are fed up with the answering that question.
No, never.
Would India keep neutral stance on the Ukraine issue at the summit and the importance of the dialogue?
You said that the summit or the foreign ministers meeting?
Foreign ministry.
Okay.
And would you keep the neutral stance on the Ukraine issues at the meetings? And would you, do you have anything about you would like to express at the meetings?
Somebody else was that you didn't ask? I thought you asked. Apologies. Please go ahead. Inko.
Sir, Abhishek from CNN News 18. My question is regarding German Foreign Ministry's statement. This is regarding in context of Zubair's arrest. They have said that they are keeping an eye on it. The embassy is keeping an eye on it. They are in touch with their European counterparts on this issue, and freedom of expression applies to India as well. Your comment on that?
Okay. Somebody else had a hand just now? No? Okay. Good. That's always nice. On the issue of, let me answer you, Mr. Takashi, on your response. Look, I don't know where this neutral stance word came from. I don't think anybody on our, from any government forum has said about neutral stance. That sounds very, very negative sort of focus. We have a position on the situation and developments in Ukraine. I think that's been articulated innumerable times. I don't think there's much I can talk about. Our emphasis on dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward, as well as the need, to focus on the post, the conflict impact, secondary impacts that we're talking about, food, fertilizer, etc., as well as the need to respect, international order in terms of territorial integrity, etc. So you are aware of it. So I don't need to repeat it. You heard it from this forum. You heard it from about what might happen. Look, the meeting is going on, so I don't think I should prejudge that at all. The foreign minister is there. External affairs minister has been meeting our people. I would be, of course, I'm not aware of any particular change of, in how we have been articulating our position. Right from the Prime Minister, we made it pretty clear how we look at it. So let's wait for how the talks go. He is, of course, going to attend this meeting as well as have some bilateral meetings, and so I think, I would limit it at that. Once it's done, maybe I have something more to share with you, but at this point, that's all that I have. I think, Abhishek, you raised the issue of this case of Mohammed Zubair's arrest. Look, in itself, it's a domestic issue, but you mentioned about the comments by certain countries. Let me emphasize that there is a judicial process underway in this case, and I don't think it would be appropriate for me or anyone else to comment on a case that is sub judice. I think the independence of our judiciary is well recognized, and uninformed comments are unhelpful and should be avoided. मेरी हिंदी पे मैं बताता हूँ आपको, इस मामले में, जैसे आप इसी केस के बारे में बोला, इस मामले में एक जुडिशियल प्रोसेस चल रही है, और मेरा या किसी और का के लिए इस केस के मामले पर टिप्पणी करना उचित नहीं होगा. ये सब जुडिस है ये मामला. हमें लगता है कि हमारी न्यायपालिका की स्वतंत्रता को लोग अच्छी तरह जानते हैं, उसको मान्यता प्राप्त है, और अनइन्फॉर्म्ड कमेंट्स अनुपयोगी हैं, और ऐसे चीज़ नहीं करना चाहिए, ऐसे कमेंट नहीं करना चाहिए. ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर योर प्रेजेंस हियर. नमस्कार.